Hey guys, I wanted to do a comparison of these three lights. We've got the Wurkkos TD07, the Wuben T4, and the Nextorch TA21, which is an upgrade of their TA20. So I've got beam shots at the end if you want to skip through, just look at those. But some of you might want to also know about some of the design differences and the features, the performance, that kind of thing. So I want to, just go through some of those with you. So firstly, if you look at the overall design, you can see with a lot of these, they pretty much just have a very similar kind of, overall package here. You've got the tactical ring, larger sort of bezel, and a kind of rotating switch. So a rotary switch essentially. Now the Wurkkos TD07 here, okay, it's got the SFT25, but yeah, basically you've got these three modes. You've got tactical mode, so half press for turbo and full press for strobe. You've got a lock mode, which just has a little shortcut to moonlight mode. And then you've got this mode here, which is like a all-rounder outdoors mode, so you can access some lower modes. Also can access the turbo mode in there as well. So pretty much it's a good all-rounder for those of you who want some tactical option, okay, but at the same time, still have those lower modes in there where you need them. The good thing about Wurkkos is that they come with everything. You get the battery, there's a charging port on the actual light itself, you get lanyards, all kinds of accessories. This one doesn't come with a lanyard though, but it's just a great little package. It's also the best performing in terms of long range performance out of all these. So I measured just over 500 meters of range with the TD07, and that's due to the SFT25. Plus, it appears that Wurkkos are just driving that LED a lot harder than the other two, especially the T4. Okay, now there is a little indicator there, a charging indicator. I'm just thinking, what else is there to talk about on this light? I think that's really about it. I might go back to it later. Now, keeping in mind what I mentioned about the TD07, this is the Wuben T4, and the design of the T4 is just so cool. I mean, if I put these up side by side, I would have to say the Wuben just has a cooler kind of design, looks more angular. There's, interesting kind of cutouts, this blue clip, and the tactical ring as well. I've taken it out, but there is this glass breaking point there. It's just really annoying. I don't like to have that on me. So yeah, I've taken that out personally. But yeah, essentially you've got this rotating switch on the back as well, and it does the same thing as the Wuben, not the Wuben, the Wurkkos. So you've got in this tactical mode, half press for turbo, full press for strobe. Okay, now if you go to the middle mode, that's basically like a general purpose mode. So you can like swap in between this low, medium, high setting. Okay. But if you press all the way, you still get, that full output, which is pretty cool. You don't get that on the Wurkkos in that sort of everyday, what do you call it? It's not a duty mode, but like an outdoors mode where you can access those lower ones. So, even in an emergency, if you really need to activate that highest mode, you know that if you full press, you're going to get that. So that's reassuring. Now, there's also a lock mode. Yep, so that doesn't do anything, obviously. Okay. Now, you see me sort of fiddling around with the tail cap. That's because you have to kind of lift it and then shift in order to shift to the different modes. This is a really good idea. And, with the Wurkkos TD07, when you're shifting it, there's no lock on there. I wish there was some physical lock so that I could just lock it there, maybe a latch or something, so that, if I'm using it in the tactile mode, I'm not going to go, whatever, and then I'm accidentally in the wrong mode. Not that I'm going to do that, but maybe in a panic or something like that, I can see how that could happen. And then you could end up in like a lock mode and just, freak out. So I think that's a really good idea with the T4. I mean, it's not fail-safe as well. I mean, I don't know, maybe you could pull it, but that's very unlikely. I mean, if it's in the mode that you want, it's pretty much going to stay in that mode. And the T4 also has onboard charging, so you just got to unscrew this underneath the head. There you go. And you've got a little USB-C charging port on there as well. I think it's a clever little idea because this actually protects the port from being damaged. If you drop it, can whack into the driver and just destroy the flashlight, but still manages to keep the onboard charging there. So The T4 is using a looks like a CSL PM1.F1, so it's Osram W2. Okay, it has very similar specifications as the SFT25. All right, I do think the SFT25 is actually produces more light and more throw though. But yeah, the big difference is that Wuben is not driving that LED at its full potential. So, you know, when you see the beam shots in the end, you'll see what I mean. The turbo mode on this is just completely blows out the T4. And even on the high mode with the Wurkkos TD07, it pretty much matches the T4. So yeah, of course, one of the big differences as well is that because it's not producing as much light, it's just a lot more easier to hold. It's cool. The temperature regulation is a lot better. So yeah, if you don't need something that produces that much throw and you want it to run cooler, longer, probably the T4 will be good. Otherwise, even with the TD07, you can just step it down to a lower mode and accomplish pretty much the same thing. So let me think of it. I don't think there's anything else I really need to mention about that one. Now, this is the Nextorch TA21, and this by far is it's the best built out of all of these lights. Okay, also important to mention, this is a 16340 flashlight. It takes a 16340 cell. These take 18350 cells. That they will have better, longer battery life to the Nextorch TA21, but the advantage of having the TA21 is that it can also take some primary CR123 cells. So this was designed as a kind of backup duty light, okay? But the anodizing, the overall feel of it, the heat sinking, I mean, it's just an amazingly good quality light. If you look under the bezel as well, you've got 3 glass breaking beads in there, so you don't get that on the other two, but the Wurkkos TD07 does have a really nice stainless steel bezel, which you don't find on the TA21 for some reason. I wish they'd put that in. But yeah, all of them have those glass lenses. Now, this is really cool because the TA21's got this like rotatable head, and you've got tack mode, so you can sort of half press for turbo, full press for strobe. Duty mode just allows you to access these like other, lower white modes. The lock mode here, nothing, but check this out. It's got a red mode and a very throwy red mode. Mind you, it's really bright for it's probably the throwiest red flashlight that I have in my collection. I think it's about, I'd say, I think it's maybe 6, yeah, I don't know. But it's almost a little bit, it's maybe 660 nanometers. Yeah, so it's got like a deep red color. And, it's also got this sort of clip here on the side, very rigid, well-built clip, and the tactical ring. I mean, if I compare how this feels to the other two, it just feels a lot more solid. Okay, the Wuben clip moves around a little bit like that, and with the TD07, it's the same thing. It moves around. It doesn't really look as nice as the other clips, the other tactical grips, as you can see. It's just made of wire, but it does the trick. It does what you need it to do. But yeah, with the Nextorch, because the clip itself is located underneath the bezel, not the bezel, the tail cap, so it screws on top, and yeah, basically it forms a physical lock there. So even if you pull that as hard as you can, it's not going to come out. It will bend and distort. And it's the same thing with this sort of tactical grip as well, because it's formed, it slots in just around the clip, so that forms a physical lock, so that doesn't move around anywhere. So there's a sort of security and a really, really sturdy sort of feel of the TA21. And yeah, I mean, I just can't emphasize that enough. The anodizing, the overall construction quality, yeah. Okay, but with the TA21, you are paying a premium for that compared to these other two. Okay, I believe as of today, the TD07 is the cheapest one, but yeah, I'll have to check. But yeah, if you're looking basically for the highest performing long range version of all these lights, the TD07 is the one to get. Okay, by far outperforms these other two. Okay, now the UI is something that sort of bugs me a little bit because it just takes a bit of getting used to. You know, when you're using this duty mode, or you know, a full press doesn't do anything. You got a half press, and then you got to cycle through the modes, and you got double press if you want turbo. Okay, I sometimes forget that, but if you don't have as many lights as me, that's probably not an issue. You know, this sort of tactile mode is so useful, but I do wish that a full click would, you know, lead to just a constant on. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it performs the best out of all of them. The T4, you know, I think it takes the cake in terms of really unique sort of looks, better heat dissipation, of course, less power as well. But at the same time, it does have that added security of this locking mechanism there, so it's not going to move around. So if I'm in that tactical mode, where is it? Not there. Here. No, here. Yeah, so, you know, that is not moving around anywhere. You know, I've got to pull that and then move it across. So, yeah, if they'd implemented this on the TD07, I'd go for that. But, yeah, of course, the design is a little bit different as well. And with the TA21, I think this light is probably the most versatile out of all of them, because you've got red light output, you've got much more floody beam as well. So you can see there's 3 LEDs. It produces a real floody, you know, not a big hotspot, not a really sharp hotspot like these two, and kind of pinpoint hotspot. This is a really wide beam, okay, more practical. You know, it's got red light output as well. The fact that you can also use primary cells, CR123 cells in there. So if you don't mind spending a bit extra and you need those extra features, you want that build quality and also the you know, the warranty that Nextorch offer as well. You know, I think they do produce some of the best quality flashlights on the market. You know, that's what they want to get. So look, I hope this video has been helpful for you. And yeah, let me know which one you would get. You know, what do you think? What do you think? I want to know. So let me, yeah, leave a comment down below. If you have questions as well, just let me know down in the comments. I will get back to you. And yeah, let's skip to the beam shots. Okay, so we're going to be comparing the Nextorch TA21 to the Wurkkos TD07 to the Wuben T4. And I'm going to go with the TD07 and the Wuben T4 first, because these are probably the most, whatchamacallit, the most comparable of them. Just trying to get the modes. Okay, so there we have the TD07 on the left, okay, and on the right we have the Wuben T4. And the Wurkkos is throwing further. I can definitely tell that, you know, in the back of those trees, it's just lighting up a little bit more. And I have done some preliminary testing of this one before, measured some beam shots of it before, so the voltage might be dropping down a little bit. But oh, you know what? I don't think I've even got it on the full mode. Let's go back on there again. Yep, so double press, there you go. So that's like the turbo mode compared to the Wuben T4's highest mode there. So look, I mean, it's just, there's no comparison there. It's just ridiculous. Keep forgetting you got a double press on the TD07 to hit turbo. Whoa, look at that. Mid-range, it's blowing out the camera as well. The SFT25 is just a beast of an LED. Even the spill, look at the spill of that TD07 there. It's just drowning out the Wuben T4 on the right. And Wuben stepped down considerably now. And the TD07 still going strong, look at that. Wow, I wonder what kind of driver this thing has in there. It feels a lot hotter than the Wuben. Now, the Wuben stepped down, that's the advantage as well. When you have a light that steps down like this, it's, yeah, it's just going to conserve a bit of power, but then also it's going to be more comfortable to hold. But It's still okay. Still going all right with both of them. So yeah, those are more sort of pencil thin kind of beams. But yeah, I guess you can think of the TD07 as a more jacked up version of the T4, Wuben T4. Now I want to compare my Nextorch TA21. Just show you the beam profile. The TA21, if you look at that, it's got a really wide sort of beam and a nice sort of floodiness, as you can see. I mean, it produces the same amount of lumens as the TD07, so 1300 lumens, but I mean, for most people this will probably be more useful close to mid-range. Long range, you're kind of pushing it, but it is hitting those trees out the back there. It's tinting those trees a little. Okay, and of course the Nextorch TA21 has this other mode here, this red mode. Let's turn that on. Look at that. This red mode, which is very useful. It's pretty throwy for a red mode. That's impressive. Let's get back to the main tack mode, or the highest mode there. Okay, and then I'll turn on my TD07 and you can see the difference. I mean, all the lumens are just focused in the center of the beam. Okay, whereas you've got a much more spread out hotspot for the Nextorch TA21. Okay, it really just depends on what type of beam profile you're after. For a long range little thrower, oh geez, the TD07 is so impressive. Look at that.